Hey, so in today's video, I'd like to talk to you about a little bit of a parallel lesson to the Sleep On It blog and video, which is because in that video, in that blog, we spoke about how we shouldn't let emotion dictate our logic and how we just should sleep on it. Try pushing emotion to the side and just let logic kick in come the next morning or come after your nap. And that still applies because we should not let logic dictate our emotions. Or emotions dictate our logic. We shouldn't. But this blog, this one tells us the opposite end. The thing that I think the last blog in the last video failed to communicate, which is that we should not let our logic dictate our emotions. That emotions are still useful and we still need them. They still have a benefit, and we can't just shut them down. We can't do that. So, without further ado, let's hop right into it. So let's start with what can our emotions do? Because why should we listen to them? Why should we even consider our emotions if they don't do anything important compared to logic? Well, they do a lot, actually. They do exactly what logic can't. They teach us about ourselves and the situation. Because think of it like this. Emotion is felt, but logic, it just is. It just is, right? You cannot feel logic. 2 plus 2 equals 4, right? That can't change. You can't feel a type of way about that. That's just the way it is. But what formula do you like best to get to that result? What math formula do you like best? Is it this one? Is it this one? Is it this one? That is emotion. Because this is how we feel about logic. This is how we feel about the situation, the indefinite situation. This is how we feel. We can't feel logic, but we can feel emotion. And logic just is. But emotion, it isn't just is. Because think about it. One thing that pisses you off will make someone happy. But one thing that makes you happy will piss someone off. But that doesn't mean that the logic changes. That doesn't mean anything changes logically. That just means your reactions change. So we feel emotions, but the situation is no different. In that, though, we can learn. Because we need to ask ourselves, why do we feel that emotion? For this, let's do a quick exercise. Just imagine quickly here. Someone insulted you. So what will emotion and logic do? Logic will dictate that someone just insulted me, therefore I'm pissed off. And that makes sense. I'm not going to try and convince you that doesn't make sense. That's normal, it's human, it makes sense. That's just the way it is. Logically, that pretty much sums it up, and there doesn't need to be much else. But if we take a look at emotions, emotions will tell us a couple different things here. It'll ask us, why are we pissed off? Is what they said true? Is it not? What if there's something else at play? What if something else is on my mind? What if this reminds me of a new time? Or of an old time in the past? Something I don't like. A memory I don't like. What if I'm just pissed off today from something else? Why? Why do I feel that way? That is what emotion will ask. And that truly tells you more about yourself than logic ever could. Because think about it. If you ask that question, all those questions even, then you'll find a bunch of issues that you have to fix. Say it is true and you don't like that quality about yourself. Well, now you know, now it's there, now it's presented in front of you, so fix it. And if it isn't true, then perhaps it's something else, some other issue. Therefore, what if I'm just pissed off today? Deal with that issue. If there's an issue, just deal with it. Get it done. Get it over with. Make your day happier by dealing with whatever's pissing you off already. And then what if there's a bad memory or something? Then resonate that. If you did something to a person, maybe you just call them up, you say you're sorry, or maybe you ask for an apology, you just clear it up, or perhaps you just take a look at yourself, whatever the situation may be, and just resonate that past moment. Because sometimes it's just as simple as thinking and just going, it's okay, it's done. Sometimes it's just that simple. But to get there, We need emotion. Because we can't logically think, here's flaw, 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 let's deal with them. We can, but that's a very, very slow process. Tremendously slower than if emotion came into play. And if we listen to it. Because if we listen to emotion when it comes to us, which is every point in the day, at every second of the day, then we'll have a myriad of things that we could deal with bit by bit and overall improve our lives passively bit by bit. All we got to do is just listen to emotion. Why does this make me mad? Why does this make me sad? Why does this make me happy? Even ask that one. That sounds so goofy, right? But ask that too. Why am I happy? And you likely won't have like you probably won't have an issue to solve, because most of the positive emotions they're gonna be fine, but most of the negative emotions are going to actually have an issue or just something to do there. But even then, just ask, why are you happy? Because then you'll get brought back down to earth, and it'll make you more humble. You'll likely appreciate the situation more. There's still benefits, but for what it is, we're gonna focus more on the negative emotions. You know what I mean. But still, ask those questions. Why are you mad? Why are you sad? Why are you happy? And then you'll learn so much about yourself. And if you listen to logic only, you'll never learn those things. Because think about it. You'll only think about the facts of the matter. You'll only think, this guy pissed me off. That's the story. He pissed me off. And then if you only think about emotion, even then, if you only think about emotion, then you'll just start getting all these thoughts of things to do and things you need to improve on and actions to take, and you likely won't logically think, and then maybe you'll make a rash decision. You'll do something that you likely wouldn't have done had your logic been there. Which is why I say these are both important. These are both to be balanced. Because we will miss everything if we focus on logic, and we will make bad decisions if we only focus on emotion. But we need to use both so that we can learn about ourselves and so that we can make proper decisions. So this begs the question, where's that line? Where do we actually find the line between too much logic and too much emotion? Because that is a very important thing. How else are we going to balance it? So, as we discussed above, we need to let our emotions take control sometime. Sometimes. Because logic will also have to take over on others. But even then, we need to actually understand that we aren't fully letting them take control. We aren't fully letting it happen. We are still drawing the line. So, and the line's only used when appropriate. So, to look at this, to understand this, let's go back to our example of being angry at that guy who insulted us. Let's go all the way back there. So, in this moment, you must choose. You must choose whether you're going to let emotion dictate whatever comes next, or let logic dictate whatever comes next. Either way it goes, you can let your anger take control, and it can teach you, and it can tell you why you're angry and what's wrong and why and what to truly fix. Or you could just let your logic do it, and then you'll move on, and that'll be the end of it. But let's say that you let your anger control. You let your anger take control and teach you these things. Never go further than that. Never. Let your anger control you just enough so that you ask those questions and you make all the thoughts come to mind and all the images come to mind, but you never act. Because once you start going too far, once you start going past your memories, remembering, here's what may have pissed me off, here's how it may have gone wrong. Once you start imagining that what you should say and what you should do to this guy and what you should make as your next step, once you start imagining that stuff, cut it off. cut it off. We don't want you thinking that way. The only thing that you should be thinking about is, why am I angry? What could be wrong? What's going on here? And then all the things that may be linked to that. Be it a past memory, like I said, or whatever may have been pissing you off earlier today. Think about that stuff. But once you start thinking about what you're going to do to that guy and what you're going to say, cut it off. Because you're thinking with an angered mind. Let your logic take some control back. Because if you make a decision while you're that pissed off, you'll likely regret it. You will likely do something that you will regret. Otherwise, and on the other end, if you let logic do everything, then you could also probably still make a decision that you'd regret, but you wouldn't learn anything either. You'd move on and you wouldn't learn about yourself or anything. It's a lot less dangerous letting logic take control, but it is still not something that you want to do. You still want it to be a little bit of a balance. Give emotion a little bit of control. But once you start thinking about what you're going to do to that guy, you cut it off and you calm it down and you logically think about what you're going to do next. Let your logic take control. That's the best way to draw that line. And it's quite simple. Just take a few deep breaths. Like once you notice that you're having all these bad thoughts, just take a few deep breaths. Think about what the actual repercussions will be of those horrible actions in your mind, and then logic will just take over. Because come on, like what? Like worst case, you assault this guy, and then in the moment you'd be like, yeah, that was fine, I enjoyed it. But then 5 seconds after you do it, logic's gonna sink in, and you're gonna realize, oh shit, this is a hefty punishment. This is jail, or maybe a fine, or just a horrible image. Like there are repercussions to the actions that you will take. But it's as simple as stopping, taking a few deep breaths, and letting your logic come back. I promise you. I promise you. And once you find the balance between these things, once you draw that line, you will be a master of this stuff. Well, not a master. It takes practice, but this is the first step to mastery. Because if you can't draw that line, you'll never learn about yourself and you'll always make rash decisions that you will regret. But if you can, you'll be the best of both worlds. And I say that, I'm not even the best of both worlds. I'm not a master. Not at all. But I try to be. I try my hardest. Because I still let my emotions take control, and it hasn't killed anyone. It hasn't gotten me in jail. It hasn't fined me. Nothing horrible has happened. But in those moments, that doesn't mean I didn't hurt people still. I didn't hurt feelings. I didn't make a horrible decision. That doesn't mean I didn't do that. I still did. And it would have been better if I cut it off and made a proper decision. But the key is to master it before you go out and you assault somebody. So calm it down, try your best, and learn to be the best you can. Don't beat yourself up about not being a master. Just remember, try your best to never let emotion dictate logic and never let logic dictate emotion. That's what we're aiming for. Anyway, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed it. This was a fun little one, and one that really needed it, because I didn't want to put out the Sleep On It blog and all that it said without having the other view. Sadly, I was sick for 2 weeks, though. I really wanted to release this like a couple days after the Sleep On It blog and video, but I don't know. It slipped my mind, I suppose, or I got sick, but the other thing slipped my mind, and I thought I had this video ready. I thought that I did this, but I didn't. So that really messed up my schedule, and I probably could have done it earlier had I remembered. But I guess I didn't, and then I was sick, and then I disappeared for 2 weeks. But regardless, it's here now. It's here now. Anyway, My challenge for you today is just to remember, like, I just want you to try feeling your emotions throughout the day. Just take a moment. Just take a moment to think about all the things that have come up today. Why are you happy? Why are you mad? Why are you sad? Ask those questions real quick and just remember the emotions and feel them. Feel those emotions. I want you to feel them, and I want you to find out why you feel what you feel. Just let your emotions take over a little bit. This is like practice. I want you to practice it a little bit. So just think. Just let your emotions take over and just think about all that stuff. Now, don't make any stupid decisions. Don't go too rash, but still, let your emotions take over for a minute and learn a little bit about yourself. Have some practice. Have some practice. Put this lesson into practice. Anyway, hope this helps you a ton. That's everything. Take care, my friend.